From the high plains of the Midwest, I bid you good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whatever your time zone might be. My nod to the late and great Art Bell. I'm Keith Sharp.
And I'm G. Dressel.
And we welcome you to Life After Life, a paranormal webcast where we talk about the paranormal, UFOs, or the unexplained. And the biggest question of them all, what happens when we die? Stay tuned.
Yeah.
Ta-da.
Whoa,
Hey.
we did it.
Yeah, and even a week off, right? So
good job.
No, not really. Because I ran it right back to the 30-second thing again.
Okay, let's do this though. Good job getting some amazing guests tonight.
Yes,
well done.
We do have amazing guests.
Very excited.
I'm surprised they're on our little
right
show.
What are you talking about?
No, our huge show, our big show. Yeah,
dude.
it's a great show.
People
great
love
show.
this show, and a lot of people don't know about this case, which is crazy. I didn't know about it.
Yeah, like I was talking to them before this. I've studied crime since I was the young age of 10 years old, reading Helter Skelter.
Yeah.
Asking my dad, what does orgasm mean?
Yeah.
And because I read it in the book. That was embarrassing. But
happens.
How was your week, man?
It was fine.
Good?
Yeah, it was good.
Good.
It's just another week.
Pam, I know how your week was. You got in a tussle with some patients, and how about that workman's comp, huh? Hey, get her back to work after a couple hours. It's fine. God.
That's good.
Hey, can you get your mic up a little bit closer, hon?
I don't have any headphones, so.
What? I'll fix that.
We grab her headphones real quick.
Anything for Pam.
Sorry, guys. But Pam had a heck of a week. She got, and you guys know, I put up a statement last week saying, hey, we want to have a show because Pam got hurt. And some of you are asking, and basically she got in the middle of a tussle with some residents, and one grabbed her by the arm, yanked her very hard. Can I make it like threw you on the ground, kicked you, and things like that? Is that okay to make it sound worse than it was? Okay. So we'll do that.
You should see the other guy.
And you should, but Pam says you should see the other guy. That's patient abusive. They're probably over there. Those are nice, but they're not for this. Sorry about that, guys. If we didn't have problems, it wouldn't be normal.
No, it wouldn't be like
right?
Life.
But how's soccer?
It's good.
Is it?
Can I tell you something real fast?
Yeah.
I gotta break the
news. You might as well, because we gotta find headphones.
Hey, yeah, and then we'll have our guests on. I can't wait for them, by the way. They're awesome.
Yeah.
But hey, so I told you a while back, actually, I do a sport called futsal. Remember, I was telling you that. It's called futsal. It's not soccer. It's indoor. It's kind of like soccer. It's like on a hard surface with a weighted ball. They play it in Brazil and Europe, all over the place, right? It's actually going really, really well. A lot of kids are playing.
Your story has become tiresome.
I'm just telling you, we are super busy. Here's the funny thing. A lot of
the heads of your captives.
Yes, we do. No, a lot of our parents listen to the show.
That'd be a show.
And they like the true crime. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's why I was so surprised, because I talk to all of them every day about our cases, and none of them have heard of the Burger Chef case, which I was like dumbfounded.
Yeah. And I got
insane.
I watched them on Matt Sullivan's show. Matt and Kate had them on.
Oh, good.
And I heard them bringing up, we did Burger Chef, and I was like, what do they cook at the hamburger joint?
Yeah.
What is that? So I looked it up.
You were pumped when you called me.
Dude, you
were jacked up.
I think I've watched almost every. I was up. I was up till 4 or 5 in the morning having to go to work. Like yesterday, I was trying to think about the case, and I was like, and I didn't go to bed till 5 in the morning and got up and still went to work. And so
you're amazing. And you got these two.
Well, you know what? And I've got
these are
4 shots of espresso in here.
No heart attacks, dude. Okay. Not during this show.
Well, look, listen, let's bring them on. This is Murder Sheet. And ta-da, there they are. And it's Anya. Is that correct?
That's right. Got it. Perfect.
Good. And Kevin.
Kevin.
Okay, and you guys had a really cool way that you met, and you ended up getting married, right? So it was murder brought you together, right? In a way.
Yeah.
Life after life.
Would you share that with our audience a little bit? It's a cool story.
It's kind of a creepy story too.
I got really interested in this Burger Chef murder case that we're going to be talking about this evening, and one of the first things I did was I went to the website newspapers.com, where you can clip articles on any subject. And I clipped a whole bunch of articles on the Burger Chef murders. And then as I started talking to some of the people involved in the case, I talked to a detective, and he said, Kevin, it might be interesting to pay attention and see who else is clipping Burger Chef articles, because they might have kind of a sinister reason for doing that.
Good point.
They might be, having something to hide or something. And so I went back.
I knew you were involved in this, weren't you?
Obviously.
And I noticed that somebody else was, in fact, clipping a lot of the same articles I was. And it turned out to be her.
It was. And he reached out to me sort of point blank and was like, hey, I researched this case. I actually represent the sister of one of the victims pro bono. Do you want to talk? And I was looking into it for a feature story for my employer Insider. And so I was like, heck yeah. And then he's sitting there being like, why did I do this? Like, why? Like, this is the creepy.
yeah, for sure.
I get back the email somehow. And I was, but I was just deeply impressed because my job is like internet stalking and reaching out to people and finding people.
For sure.
So I was like, game recognizes game here. And we became, friends. And he, for a while, he just kind of gave me all his Burger Chef sources. I looked into it, wrote this story. And then after the story came out, we sort of kept talking. And then we kind of like, oh, like we're more.
Yeah, there's something else.
Yeah. That's so cool, man. That's so awesome.
That is
life
awesome.
after life. Wow, well done.
Yeah. Hey, I met my wife at a nursing home. I'm a therapist. She's a nurse. Yeah. Fell in love. So cool.
Started there, we'll end there.
Yeah. Yeah. That's probably where we'll end up together, is in a nursing home. knowing our kids. Yeah. Okay. So one thing, you guys kind of concentrate on restaurant murders. And why is that? What fascinates you about that than the other murders that are out there?
I think it sort of started out as an exercise around Burger Chef, where we were sort of like, there's so many, I'm sure you guys have picked up on this, but there's so many interesting, weird details to the case. We were trying to figure out, really, right. And like, so we were trying to figure out, like, are there other cases like this? Like, could someone have been doing this? Or alternatively, are there other solved cases that could educate us about like what happened here?
Right.
So we started listing all these murders, and then eventually we were like, we should do it ourselves. So we should talk about them. No one's talking about them. So that kind of gave us the idea for the murder sheet, which of course is named after our big Google spreadsheet that has about like 780 something cases on it. Going back to the tavern murders of the 1700s. I mean, it's way too long, but
no, it's not. No, it's excellent.
No, that's awesome. That's very
well done.
And also to my viewers, murder sheet, right? Mm-hmm. And I put the link in my description for you guys. So you guys, please go check out their channel. I mean, not just the Burger Chef, but they got a vast material of murders that are just super interesting. And my hat's off to you guys. I mean,
seriously.
The research, and you guys talk to people who are actually involved in the case. Me and Garrett are too lazy to do things like that.
Super lazy.
So that's awesome. So for my viewers, give them a brief description of what this case is.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I'll give you so basically a Friday night in 1978. It's November. We're in Speedway, Indiana, which is a small sort of suburb enclave of Indianapolis. And 4 kids are working on the night shift for a Burger Chef restaurant. They're Jane Freet, the assistant manager, and her 3 employees, Ruth Shelton, Danny Davis, and Mark Flemons. They're all, Jane's the oldest. She's 20. The rest are teenagers. They go missing, vanish without a trace. So cut to, that's a Friday. Sunday, a man and his wife are doing a sort of Sunday morning stroll 20 miles to the south in a wooded area in Johnson County. And they discover the bodies of the 4 kids. They've all been murdered. And to this day, the case has gone unsolved. No one has been convicted of this crime. There's never been a trial. We don't know what happened.
And the 4 victims were actually murdered in 3 different ways. 2 of them were shot. 1 was stabbed in the heart. And 1 of them actually was beaten and ended up suffocating on his own blood.
And
that's because of the angle he had fallen and kind of fell backwards.
Yeah, his wounds would not likely have killed him, except for the fact he just happened to have the misfortune
Right.
followed that way.
That's unbelievable.
And we believe there's just 2 people involved. I mean, from looking at it, I can tell you right now, this was just 2 people, I think.
No one knows for sure, but I think we tend to think that very well could have been just 2 people.
Yeah, what I look into is murder wasn't on these guys' mind. If you look at you've got a guy with a revolver with 6 shots in it. If he has a charter arms, it's got 5. And then the other guy has a knife. If I'm going there to execute, a gun's the easiest way to do it. I think the guns were props in a way, but they are dead. These guys are deadly for sure. But I think something definitely went wrong, and I don't think they were prepared. I mean, I would have had the other guy with if we're going to shoot the people, that's the fastest and easiest way to one shot in the back of the head. But he's got 4 people. He's got a revolver. It's got 6 bullets in it, and the other guy has a knife. It just doesn't. That part didn't make sense to me. So that kind of told me there's 2 people. And I'm getting ahead of myself. We could talk about the Vega too, and another reason that would have to be 2 people because
Why?
I had a '74 Vega. My dad did. It's a small car. Well, the reason being because you can barely get 5 people in that car comfortably, right?
Okay, yeah.
So now it is possible that you could get 6 people. These are high school kids. One would have to sit on the other's lap. I mean, when you're in that situation where you've just been recognized, and again, I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm so sorry. You're going to make it work,
Right?
Okay. So, but we'll get into that here in a minute. But worst police work I've ever read about in my life. Okay, so Officer Barb Brady from South Park comes upon the scene. Nothing to see here, First of all, they thought that the kids had just taken the money and had fun. Isn't that right?
Yep.
Yeah, and there's no reason they should have thought that.
These kids were all law-abiding.
And
right.
they were very serious kids.
And even taking that out, it's still, whether the employee stole or not, it's a crime scene.
Yes.
It's a crime. I'm sure the Burger Chef Corporation would prosecute if their employee stole from them. And that made no sense to me. They didn't do, in fact, the next day, here's a quote from Bill Berger. That's kind of ironic.
No way.
The chief of police.
Get out of here.
He
That's not his name.
said it was the right thing to do to let the restaurant open without collecting evidence. Are you kidding me? Yeah, I mean, out of every crime thing I've read, and this just infuriated me because I've worked fast food and they could have got first of all, the floor is full of grease. When I used to mop, I'd mop up shoe prints all over the place. So you could have shoe prints of the killers. That could have been easy to identify to link to somebody if they had a suspect, right? Fingerprints, everything washed away. He didn't really seem like he seemed like he backed his officers, like they did the right thing.
Oh, did he not own it?
No.
They let the employees come in and clean up everything.
And then they defended that to the, in the aftermath when it became controversial.
How did they defend it?
They had to be embarrassed.
I come in as the third party here who is just kind of like watching some things. So I'm legitimately like, how do you defend that though?
Actually, they also first made an effort to cover it up.
Yes.
Yes. Tell them about that. Yes.
The day after, when they realized, maybe we should have preserved this scene as it was, they went back to the restaurant, shoot everybody away, and then they tried to recreate it so it would look like it had the night before. And take fake crime scene pictures.
And you know how they figured that out? So this is the Speedway police who are recreating the crime scene, and then they take it to the state police who are now the lead investigators. The state police figure it out because they're looking at the pictures and they're saying, why does this soda cup have frozen ice cubes in it? The ice cubes by now.
Right.
And so they're like, and then Speedway, when they're pulling out, it's like, we were just, we messed up the crime scene, so we just.
I'm thinking reprimands, people getting fired. I mean, if I was at ISP, I'd have been furious. I would have went to the chief of police and said, wait a minute, this is a crime scene, whether the kids took the money or not.
Let me ask you this. Oh, guys. Sorry.
No, I'm done.
Well, I was just gonna ask, like, so because there were other things. So in Delphi, oh my god, I shouldn't have said it. Hang on. In Delphi, that situation happened in a town where like that's never happened before, right? So I'm not saying there's leniency, but a little bit. Am I wrong that I heard that at Speedway at that time wasn't there like some violence going on?
Oh yes.
the
Oh,
street. Yes.
very unusual violence. Too.
Yeah, you guys had the. I think I read something about bombings going on.
Wait, you guys, do they live there?
Yeah, they live in Indiana.
We live in Indiana.
Oh, okay. You guys live in Indiana?
We
Yeah.
do.
Oh, this is even better now.
Have you been to the Monon?
the
Have you been to the Monon High Bridge yet?
We
Yes.
did. Yes, we have.
That thing is. Didn't cross it, did you?
No,
No.
Jesus.
Good Lord Almighty! Yeah, Matt and Kate went across that. I was like, you guys are out of your
They're
minds.
very brave. I was like, we went there, we were looking up at it, and we are like, absolutely.
No, yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, because he told me it looked a lot more narrower. I mean, in pictures it looks like it's really wide, but he said it's like about a sidewalk width
It's
of going
horrible.
across there.
Sorry, I shouldn't have even brought up Delphi.
We'll get in, and we will.
Well,
I'll
the
ask a
reason
few questions at the end of the Burger Chef.
The reason I was bringing that up is because we've talked about it in other cases, but in this case, because I kind of heard there's like bombings and stuff going on, it almost seems like they would have even more reason to take something like this serious. So,
Yeah.
Right, and did they in Burger Chef robberies kind of in the Indiana or in the India area was happening? I guys, I don't understand this. I do not understand why the police did not take this seriously, and especially when you got juveniles involved, you got kids, and weren't the purses still there?
Yeah, the girls' purses were still there. I mean, there was no. I mean, like, what girl leaves without their purse?
Exactly.
Right. I mean, common sense.
Yeah, if you're going to go out and party and drink, you're going to take your purse with you.
So what they say? What these guys say? How do you defend that?
Well, so actually, years later, so when Kevin and I started investigating it, we knocked on the door of a guy who was the ex-police chief for Speedway. He's kind of
Bill Burger?
No, not Bill Burger.
Okay.
Different film. But he, we kind of were like, what, like what happened here?
Yeah.
He was like, he basically said we didn't really want to know. Like we're in the dark.
Yeah.
We were in the dark. I'm still in the dark. I'm not looking for light. We don't want it. Like it's
Man.
the police's case, and it just showed to me a lack of caring almost.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
That's a weird thing to say.
Yes,
Yes,
it
it
is.
was very
We
weird.
were like, what? You've had all these years to think of a good PR.
Yeah, man. Whoa. Okay.
Okay, so let's move on to two people were identified, which led to sketches that led to these busts that they made with the crazy, creepy eyes and everything. Now, didn't this witness go on to say later that she gave an inaccurate description of this?
Yes.
So what the hell?
She said she deliberately gave an inaccurate description because she was afraid.
What?
That if she gave an accurate description and the person was caught, somehow it would rebound back to her.
Okay.
Unbelievable.
These are-
Now, how long was it before how long did these people think these are the guys before she came forward? Was this years later or?
So she and her boyfriend came forward right away, like that weekend, and sort of inserted themselves, into hey, we saw these guys outside, and then she only really admitted it publicly that she had lied about the sketches
last year?
when we talked to her.
Last year.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Did she not have any guilt about that?
Why is this happening? Why did this happen?
Your reaction right now, right here, is exactly like what we feel whenever we look into this case.
Yeah, it's a very frustrating
like,
case.
she has regrets. She expressed regrets to us. She was deeply into the drug culture back then, as were a lot of people involved in this.
Yes.
But it's almost like, I guess a lot of it almost does seem like it just really did get swept under the rug, right? Like all the more reason for you guys to get some credit and like get out there and be heard. Cheers to you guys. Like literally, this is insane. I watch a lot of true crime stuff, guys. I in fact was watching something about a serial killer in Nashville that was popping people in Shoney's, and I don't know if you know about that guy.
Yeah.
Paul, he had problems. Yeah. But this case is unbelievable. It's just literally unbelievable.
And it could have been solved. I think they could have found a footprint, not a footprint, but a shoe print or something, fingerprints that could have been matched to. I know I tend to go, and I don't know. I mean, I kind of tend to go towards that robber gang a little bit. It makes a little more sense to me than you know, that one theory about the drug, Jane's brother owing money, and then they go to threaten her, which that wouldn't happen. I mean, they would threaten. They would go to James and go, "Hey, if you like your sister, you better get me the money." I don't see and plus, why would they do it in public? You know, I mean, and that many people. So, I mean, I don't agree. Do you guys see any merit in that theory whatsoever?
No, it's a great question. I think, it's actually funny you say that. I went full robbery gang supporting last year, because I think both of us sort of cycled through our theories that are our favorite theories at the moment, and then
Yeah.
I kind of came off it for a number of reasons we can talk about. But
Yeah, absolutely.
I was very much like the proponent. With the Jimmy Freet being involved in the murders, I agree. It seems like it would be pretty they're not some like, I mean, we're not talking about some like intricately involved like gang of Moriartys who are like, we're gonna kidnap your sister or something. But,
yeah, like a little mafia group or something.
Right. I would say though, there are rumors that Jane would have possibly been giving Jimmy money or even selling some drugs for him. So I wonder, and she was a very responsible young woman. She was really trying to work hard at this burger chef and make it be her career. But at the same time, people who know her there's some rumors or sort of kind of things that maybe you feel like she was having some struggles at this time.
Yeah.
So I think it's possible she had sort of potentially started to become involved in drugs herself in maybe a minor capacity. And then something went very wrong. Essentially.
Jane and her brother, were they close?
Yes.
They were
Okay. Yeah. And I'm going to get into this, kind of plays into my scenario. Did they happen to live with her folks, or did they live separately?
They lived separately.
Okay. I'll bring up why I asked those questions here in just a little bit. Okay, so 2 people identified the sketches. Do we know this for a fact? I mean, did they actually see people outside the burger chef? Are they just trying to insert themselves into this thing?
She's smiling.
In this case, you don't know anything for a fact.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what makes it so maddening. There was these 2 teenagers outside the restaurant, and they said they were approached by 2 men, one with a beard and one with not. And those 2 men said, there's been some vandalism around here. You got to get out of here. And so they left. And it's not entirely clear if that happened or if it happened the way they said it did. It's very confusing.
Okay. All right, let's move on to where they found the bodies. Have you guys been out in that area? And
yeah.
It's changed a lot, I guess, probably from 40-something years.
Definitely. It used to be like kind of this wooded area, kind of a gravel drive. And now it's like a very nicely developed sort of, like fancy houses all around, essentially.
Whoa.
Is there any remnants left at all could you actually go, okay, the bodies were found here? Or, because I think I read a thing where you and the one of the former detectives actually went to go look for it. He couldn't find it, I think.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
But did you guys eventually kind of find where you thought the area might be?
Yeah, I think the investigator we talked to, he's very careful. So he always wants to be exact,
Sure.
If he can't say something totally conclusively, he doesn't want to be like, this is it. But
right, for sure.
We have a general idea, I think, within there of where they were found.
Did they find and again, this could be shoddy police work again. I don't know. Did they look for tire tracks? I mean, it looked like, the picture, the crime, there's not a whole lot of crime scene photos of this case. In fact, the one I saw, I'm not even sure if someone just took it or if it was the actual crime. It's basically a wooded area and it looked like there's a whole bunch of tracks through it. But I just wondered, did they find any type of tire tracks, anything?
They did a very poor job of maintaining the evidence at that scene.
So they did
a
whole bunch of police cars
Why?
and messed up the tire tracks. One thing that's kind of crazy is that one of the victims had some white powder on his body, some sort of white powdery substance. And you're having all sorts of obvious questions that we can't answer because that powder was not saved.
They put all the victims' clothes in a plastic bag and put
together
in the trunk of the crime scene tech's car.
Wasn't this like
no? Wait. They put all the clothes. They just mixed the clothes together.
Yep.
Yes.
Why?
So the cross contamination's
I
going
think it's
on.
I think it's important to state this is 1978, like not that long ago.
It's not the 20s, right?
Yeah.
Like I know we've advanced a long ways in investigation tools and techniques, but God, okay.
Well, it says something for your chief when he says we did the right thing.
Is that Bill Berger?
Well, yeah. Do I got that name right?
Is that seriously
It's former.
Oh,
Is it
Bergen. Bergen.
Bergen. Oh, okay.
Okay. I was like, dude, you were
Yeah, I
really...
did that on purpose. Just give it a twist.
Yeah, like it needs another
That'll be
twist.
two on the
Right?
nose.
Yeah, we
Right,
need
right.
one more twist in this story. Hey, I was just gonna ask. Go ahead.
No, good.
I kind of wanted to go back to the crime scene, like where it very first happened. Okay, so they're inside the store, and I like what you guys said earlier. Actually, really liked what you said earlier about why you started looking into other cases that involved restaurants, because you thought that maybe there would be a way that if something was solved in one case, it would tie back in.
Yep.
So what are some ways in those other cases? Because obviously this one got wiped clean, right? So can you guys tell us about some ways maybe that you've seen in other cases that we could have solved this one that we weren't able to because it was cleaned up?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, definitely.
Okay.
So this one was a robbery. We don't know if that was the primary motive or if it was a motive or whatnot, but they stole money from the registers and they also stole money from the safe. So in other cases, you might have a situation where it's a robbery gone wrong and people are dead and you are able to lift fingerprints off the safe or from the office where people in the general public would normally never be. So there's no reason for, I might put my thumb on the counter, but I'm not going to put my thumb on the manager's desk. So that would be a situation where it could have been solved essentially.
Right.
And then I will say the big thing, the thing that fascinates me about Burger Chef that why did they do this is in virtually every other fast food homicide case, with a few small exceptions, the victims are killed within the restaurant.
Keith, we're both ourselves with that.
I was 13 when the Roger Del Stafford, the sirloin stockade stuff happened, and it changed.
That traumatized
and
my
then
parents.
I worked in fast food in the very early 80s. I mean, it changed a lot of policies. Our back door we couldn't even use the back door. That was only left for the Martin Brower delivery truck to come in. That was 81.
Oh,
when I worked, but 78
is when that happened too.
July of 78.
What a weird year.
People have wondered if they're connected, actually.
Yeah, because the funny thing is I noticed you mentioned that, and I thought the same thing, that Roger Del Stafford kind of looked like the clean cut guy a little bit, but so did 50 other million people at that time.
And also Roger Dale Stafford, supposedly, according to his ex-wife, had spent some time in the Speedway, Indiana area.
Interesting.
Okay, if Roger Dale Stafford's in that area, if someone's dying, so if they could,
but why would he take them? That would be the difference, right? Because at the sirloin stockade, they're taken into the freezer.
I've got a theory on why I think they were transported.
Well, I want to know theirs first.
Do you guys have a theory on what you think?
They better have one.
Different ones for different days, right?
And I almost feel foolish because I know you guys have heard every single story. I'm probably repeating something that's already been repeated. And
what's your theory?
Yeah, we'd be curious.
Okay, here's my theory.
Here we go.
Have you guys ever shot a 38?
No.
Okay.
We're from Oklahoma.
We're from Oklahoma. I have two 38s, I got a lot of guns. They sound like small cannons. Okay. Now, if I'm putting I know this sounds crazy, but do you guys ever put yourself in the killer's shoes and try to think, well, how would I react? Okay.
Yeah.
So if I walk into the Burger Chef, we gather up the people, I look at Jane and I'm thinking, holy shit. I buy pot from her brother. She's been with him. She's seen me. She knows my freaking name. But then we have a problem where I've got to have a conversation with the other assailant about what we need to do without them hearing it. So what I would have done is I would have reassured everybody, hey, you're going to be fine. Okay. But I need you to step into this freezer. We're going to grab a few things. Do not come out or we will kill you, but stay there. I would have shut the door and I would have said, holy shit, that's James' little sister, dude.
And you may have even been like, "Hey, put on your coats, get in there."
Well, yeah, and that's part of the reason I
Right.
think he let him take this kill. I mean, they weren't restrained.
You don't need your
They went
purse in the
willingly
freezer.
because they could have sporadically out the back
Boom.
door just started leaving. I mean, but they're kids and they're scared. They got guns. I understand that. But I think they're probably thinking we're gonna have to kill them. We can't just kill Jane because then there's 3 witnesses to a homicide. We got to kill everyone. So one guy says we'll do it here. The other guy says no, dude. There's people fucking hanging outside of the Dunkin' Donuts, and I measured it. It's 40 yards from the restaurant. Even inside a walk-in cooler, guys, if I fired a 38 in there 5 or 6 times, you would hear it on the outside. I guarantee you. And then you've got to make the decision if we do that, we're barely going to be getting out of the parking lot by the time the police come, if someone hears that and they call and they hear these gunshots, right? So I think that they thought, hey, if they did create a string of murders, okay, it would be like, dude, I'm not going to do 30 years because this chick freaking identified me. You know what I'm saying? So they got to die. So that's what I'm thinking. That's the reason. But we got to get them out of here because there's too many people around. I mean, I think I even read where they said people would smoke cigarettes outside the Dunkin' Donuts, drink coffee, talking. You've got basically, if I fire a gun, you may have 2 to 3 minutes to get out of there with the police showing. And even depending where a cop is, maybe a 1 minute. You're not even going to have time to get that Vega out of there without getting pulled over.
So Dunkin' Donuts is across the street.
Dunkin'
Good
Donuts.
chance the cops are there.
Yeah, there's a good chance of cops at the Dunkin' Donuts. Yeah. So, but I looked at that. Also, I looked at it from Google. It's a perfect robbery site because if you notice, Dunkin' Donuts is a little ahead of that building. So that back area is pretty much, if you're in the front of Dunkin' Donuts, you guys have probably been there. Maybe you can tell me if I'm right or wrong. If I'm hanging out and say sitting on the hood of a car talking with my buddies,
like you doing the
I
70s.
wouldn't be able to see behind that building where the dumpster area is at, correct?
I don't think so. No.
Okay. So then we ask ourselves, are we going to take a chance of firing in here and having cops respond in 2 minutes? Or do we go ahead and tell them everything's going to be fine, guys? Listen, we're going to take you out somewhere so we can get a head start. Once we leave, you guys can get up and go for help, whatever. But I promise you, we're not going to kill you. Everything's fine. In fact, grab your coats. It's cold. Okay. So you let them get the coats. That gives them more security. 6 people, you make it work. In that case, you're panicking, your adrenaline's running. We just, shit, we've been identified. So we got, like I said earlier, probably what happened is they set one person in someone's lap, got one there. You got 6 people in the car. Jane's keys were found in her jacket. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So Jane drove. And that's smart because now my fingerprints aren't on the mirror. They're not on the steering wheel. They're not on the stick shift. I let Jane drive. Also, it looks a little more normal. If someone was to see Jane, it's Jane in her car. No big deal. There's not some big guy driving Jane's car. So it sounds like to me from what reading, they parked 2 blocks away, something like this.
About a mile away.
About a mile away. So we got a second obstacle. We got to get the kids out of the car, transported into another car, and this was an eye shot of the police department. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. That's what I kind of think happened. I think out of the noise would have been tremendous. 38s are like a small cannon. Like I said, they're loud. So if I had to choose, do I kill them there or do I take a risk of taking them outside? I'm taking them outside and I'm cramming I don't care what we got to do. If you got to lay across my lap, we're getting them in the car. And we're not going to also, I heard some theories, people saying, oh, well, they got the van or they got a car. They drove it back. No. That's too risky. That's way too risky. We take that car. We go to our car. If we got to sit there until a car is passed and it's cool, then we do it. We get the kids out, transport them to the other car, and we take them to the murder site. And the whole time saying, guys, again, you're going to be fine. Because there was no restraints, right? No ropes, nothing tied. Yeah. So I think they assured the victims that you're going to be okay. We're not going to kill you. We just want to get a head start. And that's my theory. on what I think may have happened.
I think that's pretty well reasoned, and I'm glad we're talking to you because we're not necessarily gun people in terms, like I fired guns, but I've never like had a gun or anything like that, and so I did not realize that a 38 caliber had that sort of like reputation of like, okay,
It's loud. It's yeah. In fact, I mean,
Dirty Harry.
yeah. Well, Dirty Harry had a 357.
Oh, yeah.
Now, a 357 and 38 is the same caliber. You just got more powder in the 357. It's a louder.
Here we go.
But there's this kind of concut. I mean, when you shoot a 30, it's like a
right.
And so the walk-in cooler, yeah, it's insulated, but outside, I guarantee you're going to hear it.
And if
It's
you're already
like-
freaked out, right?
Right.
maybe-
Yeah, exactly. And now if they had a 22, that's kind of a snap, what I kind of call a snappy poppy sound. Could have got away with it. But with a 38, no, not from 30, 40. I mean, like I said, I measured it. It's 40 yards away. It would have been, I mean, if there's some teenagers hanging outside or workers, they would have heard that.
So there's a number of suspects, right?
Oh
that have
God.
been-
Oh,
or like a whole.
don't get, yeah.
Quite a number.
There is. So, I mean, so that's why I think they were transported. I think that they didn't want to take a chance. I mean, because think about it.
Any gun
If you,
charges?
yeah, if they call the cop can be there in 60 seconds and you're caught. And then I think the reason they killed someone was identified. Like I said, and I know that's pure speculation that maybe the guy bought drugs from Jane's brother. I don't know. Could have been any of them identified. But
Well, who was it that had the gun in your podcast that was rattling around in the front of the car? Was that your show?
Yes. There was actually,
Oh, yeah.
there was actually a police officer.
Nickel-plated revolver.
Yeah, the police officer just a couple of blocks away who pulled over a guy who was driving in a car and he had a 38 gun with him. And as he sees the police officer turn on the sirens to pull him over, this guy takes his 38 gun and he throws it out his car window. And the police officer doesn't even see it.
Oh,
And all
no.
of
And
this
it
is
landed, yes.
happening at the same time the kids are being abducted from the burger shop.
It's happening at the same time?
Yes.
Okay. And then they found the gun in someone's yard, right?
Yes. they
well,
found
didn't
the
he?
gun.
Okay, they did find the gun. I thought the guy went back and got the gun or something.
He
or
went
was
back
looking
and
for it.
Lied to.
But he couldn't find it.
Okay,
'Cause
so
somebody, the homeowner noticed this guy, prowling around his front yard, and so the guy with the gun, gave up and got out of there.
so I'm sure they would have checked ballistics on the markings of the
It
victims.
was
and
not
that-
the murder weapon.
Yeah, they
Okay.
Oh, it was. Okay, it wasn't the
Okay, and
okay,
which brings me to another point. Let's talk about the mini mart robbery where the guy gets shot in the crotch. God, what a horrible.
Yeah.
sucks.
Yeah. Did they? Okay, so we know a 38 was used there. Did they compare the bullets from there to the Verner victims at the?
They did not, and unfortunately, the bullet that was fired into that poor gentleman was not saved.
Oh, okay. Okay, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're not telling me that the bullet was lodged in him. It was just they took it out and they got rid of it.
Yes.
What? Okay.
I tried. I
It's okay,
spent
Keith.
a few weeks a couple of years ago,
Breathe. Keith.
going through the evidence at that police station and talking to people there, and they said we don't have that.
Okay.
It's like we never had it.
That's unbelievable.
It's really interesting, isn't
That's-
it,
But
Keith?
yeah, it was not
Huh.
lost in him.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
What?
It wasn't a through and through.
He said it wasn't lodged in him.
No, was it a through and through on the crotch area there?
It went through him. Yeah.
Okay.
So
God, that's horrible.
it's
Yes.
Yeah, poor
Yeah.
guy. Plus, and what's going on in Indiana?
That's what we constantly ask ourselves to this day.
Because if you think if that bullet would have matched, you got your gun and you got a witness to the suspect. Do we know who that shooter was?
Yeah, we do.
Yes.
It was John.
Yeah.
So it was a guy named John Deffenbaugh. We feel comfortable saying his name because he's dead. And also because he
admitted his guilt.
his guilt.
Okay.
He served time for it.
Yeah, he was part of this robbery gang, and so he weird twist of fate though. Actually, he's dead because in the early 2000s he was homeless and living in his car and was shot to death in his car. So
Whoa.
he himself was murdered. Weird.
Wow.
Okay.
Well, live by the sword, die by the sword. So,
Yeah.
that's
Seemingly
what
a
they
very
say.
troubled life.
Wow. Okay, so let's talk about the string of robberies that went on. From what I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, but they said that they always parked their car 2 blocks away, right, and would walk to the burger chef or wherever they were robbing. Because I think it was 5 burger chefs and 1 KFC robberies.
See, the problem with there's a lot of problems.
So
with
complicated.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay,
Go for it.
no,
please.
go.
Yeah.
One of the problems with the robbery gang theory is that some of the police officers who put forward that theory kind of twisted facts around in order to make things fit that
Got
theory.
you. Okay.
And so they told
Which is common.
Yeah, they told their version of facts to reporters who printed it. And when you look at what was printed in the articles,
You're like, okay, duh, it was them. Obviously.
Yeah, in the story. But then we went back and got the original court records and transcripts and such. We learned the extent of the deception, how much they twisted.
Wow.
So,
Okay, so
they did rob some burger chefs, but they robbed a bunch of other restaurants too.
And
did anybody die?
No one.
No.
These were all non-fatalities, and it seemed like in the Magic Mart shooting, it looked like an accident. I mean, it's a horrible accident, and obviously
For sure.
you're taking someone's life into your hands if you're pointing a gun at them, right? So I'm not downplaying that at all, but it seemed like there was an exchange of money, and then the gun goes off, essentially.
Oh, so he didn't necessarily mean to shoot the guy.
Yeah,
No.
he was trying to get the bag of money from the guy, and somehow
It happens.
And the clerk was essentially like, "Why did you shoot me?" And the guy just ran out, So
Oops, sorry.
That's awful. Oh
My
God.
bad.
Okay, so all those string of robberies, and really there were no fatalities that we were aware of.
Yes.
Okay, and that's attached to the robbery gang, which I don't think it's funny. I don't know how else to describe it, but the fact that there were these robbery gangs running around Speedway, Indiana. What the hell? Is that a thing?
Apparently, actually, it sort of is. Like, you'll have the kind of groups of guys.
A crew?
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen movies about it, but it's really
It's
okay.
like less glamorous heists.
There was a group of like 5 guys, and 3 of them would go out and rob a place. So it wasn't always the same 3 guys.
Yeah.
Right, but I was like doing the math on it though. Like while I was trying to like do all this, just the math. Okay. And you're talking, what do they take from the one Speedway? 500?
Yeah, thereabouts.
Okay. And we're talking 2 people. That's 250, I guess, for like a night of crime.
For
that's
killing,
really not like, so that's why I was kind of with the burglary crew, or the crew, the burglary crew, I was kind of like, this doesn't totally make sense to me. Because they only took $500. But they brought a gun, right?
I will say this in the pro robbery gang camp, because we kind of said, we're not really super excited about the theory because a lot of it, what was underpinning it, seemed to be exaggerated in the press.
Right.
We did talk to a guy who survived one of those robberies. And I mean, what he described was totally terrifying and seemed to kind of sound like it could have matched some of the elements of the burger chef crime. So he's a young guy. He goes outside. He drops, he throws the garbage of the night out, essentially. He's working at a burger chef, right? Burger chef, not KFC. And so then suddenly someone's behind him with a gun against his head, telling him to, move inside, makes him and his coworkers get down on the ground, just screaming that they're, going to kill them if they look up, essentially. So, very violent, they're not like friendly robbers who are just like, hey, everyone, bye. Like,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
right.
They're kind of horrifying in their own right. So my dog's getting scared as we talk about it.
I bet.
Yeah.
Hey, can I insert something really fast? Because earlier it was funny. You said, he inadvertently shot the gun, and I said it happens.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to clarify one thing about that is, I'm putting myself kind of in the shoes of the kids, right? So they were late teens. There was a 20-year-old. Okay, so when I was at West Point during the summers, we would go and train, right? And they would drop like some special forces guys in there, and they would come and just like kill you, essentially, like fake kill you, right?
Yeah.
And so the reason I'm talking about this is because, you think of West Point cadets, we were talking about last week with the Maura Murray case a bit, is, these are people, and we knew that they were coming, right? But, it'd be funny. I'd throw rocks out there to make other cadets think there's some people coming, and they'd accidentally shoot. Like they would accidentally shoot, right? And start
Yeah,
shooting. And then when we would get attacked, all of a sudden these freaking cadets were around, start freaking out, spazzing out. So I put myself in their shoes. Imagine if I'm like walking into this, throwing out the trash and coming in, I could see where that would go crazy on even the side of the robbers, right? Where somebody does, did they find blood or anything like that at the crime scene, or was that all cleaned up? Because wasn't there something of maybe a scuffle of some sort, or no?
Yeah, there's some of the versions of what happened include a scuffle at the restaurant. So you
Okay.
think blood.
With Flemings? Was Flemings the one who was supposedly in the scuffle?
Yeah,
Okay.
supposedly like smashed him against the van or something.
Yeah,
Or
Okay. And so that would be something that would cause kind of mass hysteria amongst a group, right? And so, okay, I could see where that, and I heard that in your thing, I think, was about the Flemings thing. Okay. That's interesting.
but that confession, didn't they retract that and said he actually, that was the Willoughby guy and Jeff Reed, I think.
Mm.
Yeah,
that he said-
there was this man named Alan Pruitt, who we know from independent witnesses that he was actually, at the time the employees were abducted, Pruitt was standing in the parking lot of the Dunkin' Donuts in a position where he could see everything that was happening in the burger shop. So he was in a position where he could have seen the employees get abducted and who did it. And eventually he came forward and gave his version of events, and he named names, but there are problems with his story.
Yeah, he's also since retracted it years later, but he also claims he doesn't remember anything now, and that sort of he was really drunk that night and sort of
Out of it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm.
what do you think about his story? Do you think it's just BS?
Oh my God, it's so like even every day you kind of switch sides because there's so much there, right? There's a lot there with both guys he named, as you mentioned, Tim Willoughby and Jeff Reed, where you think, okay, maybe, but there's also a lot to be like, well, why would this happen? Or, it like, and so, I mean, I always go back to the people we know were there at the restaurant that night. So he's always going to be super important for that. But it's so hard to like prize the reality of the situation from whatever he saw. You wish you could just kind of get in his head and like figure out what exactly he was looking at that night.
Right.
Then we have it, but we can't do that. So we have to rely on his word, which changes constantly.
And then also there was a theory that I read. I think it was your article in Insider, which hats off, great article.
Well done.
Well done. Well done.
You guys' work is awesome.
Yeah,
I
you
love
guys.
it.
Yeah, really. Oops.
Wait, there it is.
Hit the wrong. I hit Art Bell saying no bad language. So my bad.
Yeah.
But they actually thought for a while that they thought there was a drug ring in the Burger King, that they were selling drugs out of
Breaking Bad
Now,
stuff.
Yeah. So was this actually, did you find any paperwork, investigation on it that they actually looked at that as a fact, or is it just hearsay?
Oh my God, we've been trying with that angle. So that angle comes from a Indianapolis News article by a retired journalist who was considered one of the great crime reporters of Indy of the time. So certainly very reputable. And he, unfortunately, he's not in great health now. So we're not sure if we're going to be able to talk to him about it.
We have talked to the people who were running the Burger Chef investigation at the time, and they have no memory of ever hearing about such a drug ring. And we've talked to some of the Speedway police officers who also don't remember anything like that.
So that's odd, right? That something like that would happen, and then there'll be murders, and then nobody remembers anything.
Right.
And so, like me, I was, my paranoid brain, I was sort of like, okay, what did somebody? This is a very good reporter. I'm not maligning him, but maybe somebody fed him that, like, because it was part of some sort of like operation they were doing. Like if he has like a Fed source and he says, "Hey, I got a story for you," right? Like, But then again, like I don't know, he was a pretty good reporter, and this was pretty well vetted, but it's sort of the story seemed to kind of pop up and then disappear almost, like nobody really.
That is very interesting.
Yeah.
That aspect of this case in itself is interesting. It's like the disappearing case. Because I was talking to Keith earlier, and because he literally, I love this about Keith, like he's been down on this case, dude, and he hit me up all excited at like 3 a.m. I'm like, okay. But it's crazy that it is so interesting, but no, like I thought that you knew about it.
I
just
had
found out
no
tonight.
clue
He
about
lived
this
in-
murder. I
How
had
old were
no
you?
clue.
How old were you when this happened? If you don't
I
mind.
was 13 when this happened.
Into true crime, and you didn't even.
And
hear
I was
about
into true crime. Yeah.
it. It got
But, you know, I
swept
mean,
under the
I
rug.
was in Ponca City,
I
Oklahoma, a
get
small
it.
town
I
at the
get it.
time.
But you would think
You
we
know-
would have heard about it, right?
Yeah, later as I'm
This is a mass
researching
murder.
murders, you think that I would have came across
This is a
this.
kidnapping and a mass murder.
Yeah, it
Okay.
is. And
So
I mean,
that in itself, it's a disappearing case.
was it a
It's
national?
very
Was it
odd.
nationally known at the time?
It made a bit of a ripple at the time, but it happened the same weekend as Jonestown.
So it got over.
Oh, so it got
yes.
smothered
Okay,
then
Yeah.
with that.
Oh,
I feel like I feel like we ruined your guys' lives though, because I feel like every time we like kind of get people sucked into this, they like are like they kind of like you can't stop thinking about it because you keep on being like, well, wait, what about this? Like you turn into that meme with Charlie from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia with like murder boy.
Yeah.
I mean that's what happens because like your brain wants to make it all work and take all these.
Yeah, it's like,
we're creators.
It's like Anya and Kevin. I'm telling you, I had 2 nights where I kept thinking, why kill the kids? And that went on to 4 a.m. And then my next thing was why transport the kids? That went to 5 a.m. It would just like I gotta figure this out. I gotta figure this out.
We talk about it all the time though. Humans are creators. We're trying to create. We can't understand why they took the freaking kids. I think is that the linchpin to all this? I mean,
don't you guys think someone was? What do you guys? How do you feel about that? Do you think someone recognized them and that's what caused it, or do you think these are just cold-blooded killers?
So, yeah, I think
did one leave any witnesses? I don't know.
Or was one someone who was just scared, and then the other one, the cold-blooded clear, like, oh yeah, we'll just tie him up in the woods, but actually we're gonna kill them. Like was it a mixed group in terms of the killers? Yeah. Oh, sorry.
No, I just say the reason I said earlier, I don't think they're prepared for murder. They lost control of that situation in the woods. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm guessing if I'm the killer, I'm saying, okay, everybody lay down again. We're not going to hurt you. Lay down and we're going to get in our car. And as soon as you hear us leave, get up and go. I think as soon as that first gunshot went off, Mark and was it Jane?
Mm-hmm.
Jane ran one way. They probably were scared. So they ran. All of a sudden, these guys are like, oh shit, I've got 6 bullets. I think there's 3, 4, 5 bullet wounds in these 2 people.
Yeah.
So he's got one bullet. So you got the guy, he's got to decide, who am I going after? Am I going after Mark? Am I going after Ruth? Well, or not Ruth, but Jane. Jane's probably the easiest to catch. He catches her. Mark's hightailing it out of there. And there's a possibility when they left, they thought, shit, we got an eyewitness. This guy may have got away with, So that's what I think is they probably lined them all up and said, you're going to be fine. And as soon as the gunshots started, that panicked. And if, that's the thing is if I was going to kill these kids, I would have made sure we were very well armed. Easiest way to do it. Stabbing's up close. It's personal. It's hard to do. And apparently, I mean, they broke the handle off the deal. Plus,
that's never been found.
Right. I mean, if you would have, and this sounds so mean and or sinister, but I mean, I'm just trying. It's true crime, though.
Here we go.
I would have my buddy have a gun. I have a gun. You start there. I start there. Bam, 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 bam. We're done. We get in the car. We leave.
Yeah.
So that's what makes me think that this murder wasn't on their mind on this. Something happened.
What happened?
I don't know. I think someone recognized him. I mean, look, if you got Jane Freed's brother, he's a shady character. Shady characters attract shady characters. Okay. We had the stoners in school that all hung out. We had the jocks. We had this. It's not much different when you get out of school. I mean, a lot of criminals know each other. It's possible he could have bought weed from Jane's brother, and Jane was there when he bought the weed, and they talked or whatever. Who knows? I mean, again, but I know I'm really reaching, but it's possible.
I mean, well, I'd say what you're saying is all pretty grounded in like what the actual evidence is.
Yeah.
And that's what we try to always stick to. But I think what you're saying is sort of like what fits the actual crime scene as opposed to like,
Right, because I'll admit to you, in the 70s, I smoked a lot of pot. Okay, so I knew,
that's shocking.
And I knew a lot of dealers, and because of that association, I knew a lot of bad people. you know, and I mean, not that I wanted to be associated with them, but sometimes I was around some bad people that did not have good intentions.
Right.
And I'm just thinking Jane may have innocently been there when this guy's getting drugs from James, or who knows? What do you think? Do you got any?
Dude, I'm just like, I'm blown away by this case. You guys, you're right. You inserted it into my brain and it'll forever be there. So thank you, Murder Sheet.
Now
I've literally been listening to it all day. While I was working.
Roger Dale Stafford, of course, we talked about him being looked at. Of course, we can't verify he was there or not. What was I going? I just lost my thought. Oh, and Ashley Flowers. Let's talk about just a little bit.
Is this a gossip channel?
No.
I don't even know Ashley.
I don't like her.
Wait.
I think it's. I mean, even her podcast is the most fake pod. I mean, you got that little brig going. Oh wait, really? Oh wow, I didn't know that. I mean, it's ridiculous, right? Well, she was. Yeah, and she got in trouble for plagiarism. She was she's basically like, if we did this show and I just like, if I would have took her insider article and I read it as my own and not gave her any credit.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that
but
next week.
She
yeah.
Her and it was Bill Dalton. Is that?
Yeah.
Ashley pretty much screwed us up for you guys to even get a hold of this file ever. Is that correct?
Yeah, the detective in charge of the case for the Indiana State Police is a man named Bill Dalton. And he made a deal with Ashley Flowers where he let her have access to the entire case file, which no one outside
Unbelievable.
Family members have gotten to have any of this information.
What?
And Ashley, as part of this, she gave the police complete control of the podcast that she ended up producing. And
that was stupid.
It's embarrassing because
it's a mess.
There's like a long section where she talks about how wonderful Bill Dalton's smile is.
Oh God, what?
Like that.
What was really going on between them two, huh?
It just makes you cringe and it makes you wonder all sorts of things. And I don't know what either one of them were thinking, but it was, in our view, it was shameful.
It was embarrassing. And it was sort of like, I mean, it was like, this is not, and I'm going to tell you something. I mean, here's how they could have literally avoided the whole controversy. First of all, if she hadn't given him editorial control of her show, obviously that's sort of number one. But then if he could have given her details from the files, if he had bothered to just read them himself and then verbalize them,
right.
Not giving her actual access. So there was a workaround if they wanted to work together. That's bizarre.
Yeah.
And did she have access to like the crime scene photos, everything?
Yes. Everything.
The whole file. She got set up in an office essentially, and
no, we got you guys. We're gonna start a campaign.
Yeah,
I want Anya and Kevin on this.
But because of this,
for real, I'm starting a campaign. Did you see my Instagram? Our Instagram has a lot of followers. We're gonna start a campaign.
And Kevin, you went back and forth on this and saying how this wasn't fair, that you should have a right because it was shared, and they kept coming up with excuses why not to. Like, you wanted the emails, I think it was, right?
Yeah.
And they were giving you a tough time about that for the Red Ball show.
Yeah. Eventually this is something we're still working on behind the scenes. And we were able to get some emails, and it turned out that Ashley Flowers offered to pay Bill Dalton's way to an out-of-state conference.
What?
Where the two of them would go there together.
What?
And then she did, Bill Dalton's boss, he received his expenses paid for this conference.
It's so
This is illegal. No, this cannot be
very,
real.
very, very bad.
I'm getting secondhand embarrassment, and I already know all
I
this.
know, yeah. Anya and Kevin. Oh my God. Okay.
And of course, Ashley Flowers' main show is called Crime Junkie.
Yeah, I just found that out.
Bill Dalton, at the 40th anniversary press conference of this case, he stood up and said, "I'm a crime junkie."
Okay.
Oh
little
my
dog
God.
whistle. Yeah, dog whistle. Yeah. Ooh, I want another trip.
So
Dog whistle. I want another trip.
That's unbelievable.
Another trip. What an ass.
Yeah.
That's not cool though, man, to like use your position, especially when you have like hardworking people. Cause like I always say this too. I'm glad you guys did you say they were on with Matt Sullivan?
Yeah, they were on Matt.
Oh, dude, yeah. Hey, that guy's a bulldog when it comes to getting paperwork. So
Yeah.
you two together, you three.
Yeah,
together.
well, you got Kevin, who's an attorney.
I got it.
You
yeah.
got Anya's a journalist, and you've got Flowers, who's just this dumb girl.
Hey, we're up against this.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. I apologize, but I'm just saying. But you know what I mean. You guys you're highly educated, and this is just some girl who got lucky with a podcast.
And what's it gonna hurt?
Yeah.
That's
Oh my god, it's like 44 years old. I mean,
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
what we wonder. Exactly.
And they don't seem to
Indiana.
be anything on it.
No, yeah, there's very little movement right now in the case that's we can see. At least.
Bill Berger.
well, Bergen,
It's all around, you know.
Bergen.
Bergen.
It's just like there's not a movie about this yet. What is wrong? Do you guys write a script?
Yeah.
I
Oh,
know.
that-
I think it sounds unrealistic when you write it all out. Like I think.
Yeah.
Is it real? Like no.
You pitch this at Sony and they're like, yeah, right. This never happened. You're like, wait, what? Yeah. Wow. Hey, you got to read something.
What?
Did you say
Comment.
Oh, there's a comment. Did you? Where's it at? Hon?
SD? Do you need your glasses, Keith?
Shut up.
I'm serious.
Didn't someone confess to this who was already in prison, accidentally killed one, and then felt they needed to kill all first, was killed accidentally?
That Forrester.
That sounds
That's
like
Forrester. That's Donald Forrester. Yes. So
Yeah,
the
he's-
commenter knows what they're talking about. This guy, in my opinion, he's one of the most well-known suspects in the case because he confessed and his, picture was all over the newspaper. He's the one person I feel confident in saying I really don't think he did it. Like I strongly doubt this guy.
Yeah, he was the guy, didn't it? Where they kind of fed him.
Yeah.
Like I think
Oh,
I
that guy.
think I heard you guys say something
Yeah.
like how many times was she stabbed? And he said once, and then someone said, "Well,
Who stabbed her the
who
second?
stabbed her the second
Yeah.
time?"
Yeah,
So let
exactly.
me-
Oh, one
And-
of those confessions.
And then
Okay.
he said he stabbed her in the lower or in the leg or something.
Yeah,
and
in the
she was
leg.
stabbed
And
in
she
the
was
chest.
stabbed twice in the heart.
Twice in the heart. He says the kids were bound with wire. That wasn't true.
They weren't bound.
Yeah, they weren't bound at all. He was desperate to get out of state prison where he was serving a 95-year
Right.
sentence for a horrible rape case, and he he was apparently having a very bad time in Michigan City up there.
I'm
And
sure.
yeah, so he got to basically whenever he would confess, they got to he got to come down to the.
Oh, so he was getting he would get transferred. So
Yeah.
because that's what I was trying to wrap my head around. Like, why would this dude insert himself into this, which is not going to get him out of prison? Okay,
Yeah.
so he was having a hell of a time, and in one prison, and they would okay.
You get to go to nicer prison as sort of a.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
He was never getting out. He was.
And then didn't he say something like, "If I go to prison, you're never going to solve this case," or something
Yeah.
to that point? Yeah.
Definitely a dramatic moment.
Right.
Yeah.
So okay, the I listened to the 1041 because you guys said to, and that was very good.
Yeah, it was cool.
Good podcast as well. But the Amigo, the inside guy, and the dog catcher, Amigo. Now was that group part of the supposed to be the robbing
Yes.
group?
Yeah, we've had Todd on our show to sort of be our robbery gang expert because he knows a lot about that. And we basically first season we sort of went and sort of like Todd sort of didn't name anybody, but then second season we were sort of like, these guys have all been convicted of these crimes. It's all public. It's all out there.
Let's
Yeah.
Let's just
Yeah.
name them. Whatever.
That's how we handled Delphi. God, I said it again. Sorry.
No, you can say Delphi
No.
because we're
I know, but we'll get off on a tangent, and I'm trying to wait
All
till
the
the end.
Delphi Reddit will somehow appear in the chat.
Yeah.
Say it 3 times.
Yeah.
yeah. Let me just tell you guys, when we were doing Delphi.
See?
And I don't mean this bad, but it brings out the crazy people.
Oh God, yeah.
I would get phone calls at 2 a.m. from someone from Delphi
Do
saying,
your voice.
"You want me to do the voice?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I know who killed that guy, and he wears a hat." And so I would get these phone calls of all these, people swearing they know who it was, and most of them were really drunk because they were calling me at 2 a.m. And then I got hounded by the Sean Harmon. He believes his dad killed the girls. I had to finally block him because he was causing so much problems. But yeah, I'm just going to let you guys heads up when you get into this case, you're probably going to get inundated with emails like you've never had before.
We call it the Delphi situation.
It is. It's a situation where I'm just warning you right now. And
Well,
I'm surprised you probably haven't. I mean, because you guys got that transcript. It's so I can't wait. In fact, when we get done with the show, I'm going to go listen to that. How many episodes did you guys do on that? Are you doing 1 or 2 or?
So actually some interesting news we can tell you. Right before we went on your guys' show, which we were very excited to do, we wrapped up. We were going to do a 2-parter, and then we released part 1 this morning, and then we sort of started hearing rumblings that somebody was going to release an unredacted transcript.
Really?
Yeah, we expedited.
So we worked all day.
We worked all day to make sure that we were ready, and we released part 2 today because we didn't want that to happen, because people rushing out that stuff and putting out stuff that's unredacted. You know, there's a lot of innocent people that are mentioned in the transcript, and
Right.
we tried to be very careful with that, just because, you know, it's
guys.
yeah, you know, and like we're not even just trying, like we're not saying, oh, we're the only ones who could do it because we're a journalist and a lawyer. No,
Right.
People should take their time.
Yeah,
know?
for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now part 1 and part 2 are out right now. So if you are, we released our transcript on our Facebook group. You can always, join and leave if you don't want to deal with it, but like that's how you get it.
Yeah.
Okay, see here it's already starting. Bridge guy was at Burger Chef. Okay,
No, he was not.
No, he was not. He probably wasn't even born. Okay, so any final thoughts on the Burger Chef case?
I mean, I have tons of thoughts about the Burger
I do
Chef
too,
case.
but I mean, there's like we were talking before, there's just no physical evidence. There's nothing tying anybody to this
what's going to solve it?
Why do you think we'll solve this case?
I think really talking. I mean, this is. I don't think DNA is going to solve this case.
There's no DNA in the Vega. There's nothing left in the Vega.
There was a palm print, and it's actually been matched to somebody, but nothing came of it.
Okay.
There's a lot of cigarette butts in the Vega, but the thing is, Jane was herself a smoker, and her friends were smokers. So,
that'd be tough.
Okay, so what about their clothes, their jackets?
We've heard rumors about
it was also thrown together.
Those being tested, but of course, lots of contamination. Right? But I think what will solve it is talking to people and kind of figuring out more about what exactly was going on in Speedway, Indiana at that point in time, and who could have possibly done this, and who would have had the means and the motive, and getting people, reminding people that this still matters. It's not going away. These families are still out there. They want justice and they want answers, and that people need to come forward with what they know and share it, basically.
And we're still out there literally knocking on doors trying to get people to talk to us. And that's
because I'm sure there's someone out there who does know some facts, and they're still scared to this day that they're just not going to talk.
I think it's important just to be transparent too. Like as a society, to have faith. I mean, this happened in 1978. The fact that you guys aren't readily available to go, and I know there's things that we have to hide as per the investigation. We already know how they were killed. Right.
Yeah.
And so, I think that's kind of like a huge step too, is just getting some transparency from the guys that you guys have been talking to, the investigators that won't give it to you. So
I think it'd be so awesome if you guys got the whole case file.
I'm on your team.
You guys are smart enough. You could solve it. I think
I'm your number one fan.
Yeah, I am too. I mean, I just like, wow, the work you guys put into it was so awesome. I mean, the family's got to be just overwhelmed with joy for what you've got. You brought it back to people's attentions. I mean, like I said, I'd never heard of it. Now I've got all my viewers that are going to see it.
Everybody at my gym.
Yeah, everybody
because I've been complete. I like.
He's a soccer coach. He owns a gym.
Well, I like to poll people because I talk all day, so I like to poll them. Hey, have you ever heard of the Burger Chef murders? Have you ever, dude? None. Zero. But they were all like, I'm gonna go look it up, and I was like, cool. I got a cool podcast for you to check out.
Right.
It was super informative. Yeah, that was for real. That was good.
Okay, so I do have a Delphi question before I let you go.
Okay.
Yeah, please.
Okay, I guess I can say this. I really strongly feel like Áine Cain had something to do with this. He looks like the bridge guy. Not only that, but just stalking some 11-year-old girl. Just gross stuff. He had access to Kegan's phone. I mean, and Kevin may not even know that if his dad murdered her or not, or murdered these kids or not. We don't know. But what I don't get is and maybe they're lying. They say they have DNA. Now, Kegan would even have markers from his dad on the DNA, enough that you could probably make an arrest. So, I mean, do you think they got DNA? Because it kind of makes me doubt almost that maybe Tony's involved, because they were swabbing people left and right. Now, were they doing that just to try to scare the killer? Is a DNA sample bad? But because first thing I thought, okay, Kegan's got felonies. They're going to run his DNA. They're going to check it against the DNA they have. He's related to Tony, so he's going to have some of the same markers. So that would show, hey, he's related to the killer. So what do you guys, do you have a theory on that?
Yeah, I have a theory, and this is totally, I'm not a scientist. I'm
Me
an
neither.
uneducated journalist, right? I'm just trying to speculate here as best I can, because I've thought about this a lot too. And my understanding is that there can be DNA samples that are so small or so limited so as to, you can rule people out with them, but you can't necessarily convict based on them. So I could say, okay, the DNA sample definitely doesn't match in person A, but it matches person B, but it doesn't mean it also matches person C, D, E,
Right.
so on. So, I mean, that would sort of make sense, because then it would certainly behoove authorities to get DNA samples from people, but it wouldn't necessarily result in a conviction. Gotcha. And again, this is something we have no idea what the DNA findings are in this, but I mean, that's a scenario where I think that works both ways potentially. Yeah,
that's something that always puzzled me, because I've been following it for 2-3 years, I guess, a little over 2 years, and I know some people that that they, even YouTubers that they swabbed, and I thought, well, God, if they're swabbing people, then they must have a decent sample. Lesenby said that they had a DNA sample.
Yeah.
At one time, but like you said, it may just be enough to eliminate somebody. So that's so I was kind of wondering, it's like, well, I think they would have arrested Tony by now. I mean, they've had 5 years of digging his trash like they did the Golden State Killer, to solve that case. But anyway, Anya and Kevin, thank you guys so much.
Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, we really enjoyed speaking with you.
Oh, you guys, this has been awesome for us. I'm so happy you came on my little show. and I can't wait to listen to the podcast on the Delphi stuff, because that's another big interesting case that being Garrett covered.
Hey, and we'll link up through Instagram too, and keep in touch for future projects and collaborations.
We'd love that. Thank you, Garrett and Keith. You asked great questions, and we really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, we didn't solve. I thought we solved it, but I guess.
Oh, I did. I'll just tell you later.
Okay. I'll give as soon as Garrett lets me know, then I'll let you guys know.
I don't want to tell everybody.
All right, well, guys, thanks again. You have a great night, and thanks for all your hard work. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you too. Thank you so much. Great
Bye, guys.
Bye. They're cool.
Yeah, they're awesome.
They're super cool.
Yeah,
they're good. Huh?
This case is gonna drive me insane, though.
Hopefully more people start digging into it, though, because I think it could be one of those cases. What do you think, Manuel?
Well, there's a couple things that when I think of robberies and, ultimately homicides, that kind of come to mind for me. A couple things that kind of bother me a little bit is if I'm going in to rob a place, and it's cold, obviously, if we're letting people have, so I'm guessing they came in jackets, probably had their weapons stashed in them and didn't just walk in with them out, obviously. But ski mask, pantyhose over your head.
Oh, you know what? And I had that in my notes to ask them, because I did read somewhere where I think at one time the gang did wear ski masks, but for the most part, what they would do is cover their face like this and have the gun in their right hand, which I think is ridiculous.
Oh, that is.
I mean,
that's stupid.
The thing is also, I mean, even with that, look, when you come into a restaurant, they're initially, as I say, one of the waitresses approaches you, she just saw you. Okay. So it's like, oh, forget what you just saw.
Well, too, because you can take away one of your hands.
And even that aside, if it was somebody that Jane maybe was familiar with, I mean, these guys probably wore the same jacket all the time. Maybe it wasn't about recognizing a face, maybe it was recognizing a voice, gait, a coat,
that's a great
pair
point.
of shoes.
Yeah.
Definitely. Something that.
Yeah,
tipped
but
her
he would
off.
have had, yeah, and he would have had to known that she knew that. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It wasn't so much him recognizing her as her
Unless-
recognizing him. And of course, she's not going to say anything.
Well, she might.
before-
You don't know.
I
She
don't-
was
dude,
fiery.
I don't-
Was she the fiery one that was known? I mean, because I could see somebody in that situation like, dude, what are you doing?
Man, I don't know.
Frankie, put that gun down. yeah. Like,
Yeah. Well,
there-
I mean, there
there
was
are people like that.
there was
That's what I'm
rumors
saying.
that possibly that
Fleming.
that he smarted off to
Flemings,
somebody
yeah.
or tried to be a hero, and that's what kind of started the chaos. I don't think eventually that would still lead into murder. I
See,
don't
and
know.
I don't think like, and I love their work so far and everything like that. But the beating inside the restaurant to me doesn't make sense because then you would have to like clean up something first, and then secondly, his injuries were so symmetrical. It is like he just ran into a tree, right?
Yeah, I
like
think
you
that's-
can't beat somebody symmetrically.
I
Not
don't.
likely.
Yeah, like yeah.
Well, I mean, if you like we've talked about before, if you're running for your life,
Yes.
you're running faster probably than you ever ran fast in your life. I mean,
Knocked
and
clean
if you
out.
think about hitting your, I mean, it happens when people go skiing. They
Yeah.
run, you know,
Oh,
Sonny
dude.
Bono died
Yep.
from hitting a
Yep.
tree.
Yep. A lot of people did.
Yeah, a lot of people die from that. So it's very. I don't think he was beaten. I think he was
Right.
probably the only one that damn near got away.
Yeah.
And I'm
dude.
pretty sure that I bet those murderers left that scene
thinking that he
thinking-
was alive.
yeah, that he was alive and
Oh,
probably didn't find
jeez.
out. And it got enough, you know, questions start coming that I wanted to ask them. It's like, and I'm thinking also if I'm a killer and I just killed 4 kids, I don't want to get pulled over with a gun in my car. Is there a body of water close by? Is there a lake that they could have went by, you know, on the way
Right,
back or
right,
wherever
right.
they went? We don't know if they went back to Indy or they went the opposite way. Was there a bridge where they could have chunked the gun? I mean,
handle,
did divers search any lakes in that area?
Probably not, dude. They didn't.
Well, they
I mean,
yeah, I mean,
like literally every step of this investigation has been screwed up.
it's the biggest gross negligence of law enforcement investigation I've ever read about in my life.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's totally unbelievable.
I would love to see more on this. I'm glad that they're on the case. I think that they work really hard and they do really good work. So.
Yeah, and it's a shame that, you know, they can't get the the case file.
Indiana.
Those two, man, they do great research,
Yeah.
and you can tell by listening to their podcast. And I encourage all you guys to go.
Yeah, definitely.
Go to
Murder
Sheets podcast. It's on Spotify. That's where I found it. I think they
Very
even
well
have some
produced.
stuff. Yeah, very well produced, and they're also on YouTube, I believe. But yeah, just go check them
Thank you
out.
for finding this case.
Well, and I thank Matt, I guess, and Anya and Kevin. Just like I said, I kept hearing them say, they kept mentioning the word burger chef, and I was like, God, are these guys hungry? I mean, what is it? It's like, and I was like, what are they talking about?
Keith doing Keith things.
Yeah,
So
and
you
so
had never heard of the restaurant even?
I'd never even heard of Burger Chef restaurant. I know that Hardee's bottom
Right,
out.
Yeah.
We never had a Burger Chef that I can remember in Oklahoma. I mean, maybe we did. I mean, because I think it started back in the 50s, and I think it
It's like Whataburger,
officially
but I get
closed
it.
in 95 when I looked at it. Possible, but I don't think we had any here.
Okay.
But yeah, it's like, man, as soon as they leave, these questions come out, like
That's
the
okay.
stocking mass. Did the lakes get checked in the nearby area?
Well, one great thing for us and I think our viewers is that like our list of guests have been top notch and it just keeps expanding our little network. So we'll continue to get awesome guests like this and we'll continue to ask them good questions.
Yeah. And hey, GG Rainbow.
Hey,
I haven't seen you in a long time. Good to see you. Charles O, hello. Mel.
tax cuts, right? Saget died from a fall.
Mel, hello. Yeah. Doug, hello. Tax cut.
Tamara.
Hello. Tamara, hello.
SD.
SD. Glam Van. Hadn't seen you in a while, Glam Van.
Tax cut said Indiana State tree is a telephone pole.
What's that?
Tax cut said the Indiana State tree is a telephone pole.
That's another thing that came to mind for me when you're talking about if they finished him off in the restaurant. Something that would have delayed them a little bit. 1978, nobody's carrying cell phones. And if
True.
they were, they
Yeah.
certainly weren't the little pocket models that we have now.
No,
You
no,
know, we've been a-
there was no mobile phone. I mean,
Right.
there probably was, but only rich people had them, I would
Right.
imagine.
So you're either going to have to run into a business the office of
Yeah.
Dunkin' Donuts or the office of Burger King
Right.
to get to the phone, or there's a payphone. Then you got to dig out change.
Right. Yeah.
And it's rotary dial.
Yeah. For sure.
So
No, we had push button in 78. I remember the phone booths. They had push buttons in 78.
Regardless.
all of them.
Yeah,
a lot of them did.
I think the
But
main
I mean,
thing is
well-
getting change out of your pocket and trying to.
But no, I see what you're saying. It could take a while before the police got there.
Yeah.
But I would think, they said a lot of employees from Dunkin' Donuts would hang out outside and
Mhm.
smoke when there was no one in there.
Yeah.
So it would have been easy for them to run back in the office and call. I mean, they definitely, from 45 yards away. You shot firearms. You probably shot the 45s at West Point, and they're freaking loud.
Yeah,
they're freaking loud, and the 38's really loud. So
You don't think they would have just hit the deck?
what's that?
You don't think they would have just hit the deck and been scared to move?
When you
Yeah.
Where the hell did that come from?
Oh yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I think if they would have heard that, they probably. I don't think the first thing that popped in their mind is that gunshots, and they may, because it would have been somewhat muffled, but you would have heard that. Is it concussion? Is that the right word? That big oomph that those guns have.
And killing 4 people is a huge leap.
Oh yeah.
That's
Yeah,
a huge
absolutely.
leap.
Yeah.
dude.
So you're talking about
Something had to spark it.
Yeah.
Kidnapping. See, that's the way I kind of feel like it was like this avalanche where a couple little things happened, kept getting bigger and bigger. And then all of a sudden the avalanche just go and you can't stop it. Right.
Right. Yeah. So I just don't think I don't think murder. Like I said, I don't think murder was on their mind. They weren't prepared for that.
Man, I know that you
with a
can't-
knife and one handgun.
Yeah.
And I bet you money, that's probably all the bullets he had, because he probably had no clue that he'd be actually having to kill somebody.
Well, and what sucks with these cases too is like you were saying earlier, shady characters hanging out with shady characters.
Yeah.
So if people do know about this, the likelihood of them kind of being around or wanting to, you know what I mean? It's just super unlikely. I wish people would just have a clear conscience when they got older. It was like, you know what? Right before I die, I'm going to go ahead and write this letter. I'm going to explain everything, but that never happens.
Yeah. I mean,
Zodiac, if that was the case.
Yeah, I was disappointed because I was leaning really towards the robbery gang, and the reason being because which she shot that down because of the confession about where we always parked 2 blocks away. We walked to our robbery sites, and then once they found that guy was full of crap, then that kind of shot a hole in all that.
Yeah.
Because I mean, hands down, that would have been that's your killers
For
right
sure,
there. That would have
for
been
sure.
one of those guys. And but I mean, and it still could be.
Yeah.
We just don't know. But dang it, it just drives me.
Crazy case. Dude.
We always solve cases by the end.
I know.
I don't understand.
Well done, Anya and Kevin. Well done.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
Great show. Thank you for bringing it to our attention.
Yes.
And thank you, Matt and Anya and Kevin.
Yeah. Again, Anya, Matt and Kate, thank you. And Anya and Kevin, thank you so much. And when I get off here, you know where I'm going.
Yep.
Right to Spotify. I want to hear the
Delphi.
Dude, they got 194 pages.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. She
That
said
was
it's on her Facebook,
accident.
right?
Something from what I understand, there's a thing called My Case in Indiana. Well, with Kevin being an attorney, he has a number. He can probably get access to a little more stuff.
Right,
But however, this document was up that wasn't supposed to be there. He saw it and he immediately downloaded it. Right. He said he went back I don't know if it was an hour later or whatever, but it had been taken down.
Oh, no.
And so someone had accidentally uploaded all this
good.
information.
Or did they?
Yeah, well,
Accidentally.
that's true. There,
Yeah.
because I mean, there's probably people in law enforcement. They're like, I think we should let the public help a little
Why
bit.
not?
So just so I'm gonna actually.
Everyone's doing it anyways.
Yeah, exactly. But okay, so next week, I guess we're going to continue the Maramori case that we didn't get to do.
Yeah.
That's another bizarre case.
Yeah, definitely.
So I guess that's it.
That's it,
Do you
dude.
guys have anything else?
No, I have so much on my mind now.
Yeah. I hear you. All right.
Thank
Well,
you,
guys,
guys.
good night. We love you. Thank you
Yep.
so much for taking your Tuesday night and
love it.
spending it with us. And again, go to Anya and Kevin's podcast and give it a listen and have a great week. All right.
Murder sheets.
Talk to you later. Love you guys.
Good
Bye.
night.